What's up guys, I'm TechSource and today we're building an $850 mid-range gaming PC using AMD's new 5700 XT. Clearly I haven't been getting much sleep because I meant to say 5600 XT, not 5700. Let's begin. The Lian Li LanCool 2 is the ultimate chassis for beginners and enthusiasts, offering tons of customization to build a perfect system for you. It features hinged, tempered glass and shroud panels on both sides, allowing easy access into the case without having to remove thumb screws. It also features toolless sliding hard drive bays with an optional hot swappable kit, cover plates to hide all the wires in the back, and USB 3 connectivity with an optional USB-C add-on. The case comes with 3 included 120mm fans and it's available in either white or black. For more info, click the link below. Alright, so for the CPU, we're going with the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 6-core 12-thread processor because this is still currently the best value CPU you can currently buy for gaming while still being great for multitasking as well. The extra 2 cores will help with encoding for streaming games and CPU intensive tasks like editing videos. It's no surprise that a lot of people are still using the CPU in their rigs, especially considering how easy it is to overclock using just the stock heatsink. I didn't want to cheap out on the motherboard, so I decided to go with the new MSI Tomahawk Max with support for higher RAM up to 4 DIMMs at 4133 MHz, an M.2 slot, and support for 3rd gen Ryzen right out of the box. There's no need to flash the BIOS, and I've had really great support overclocking on this board, so highly recommend it for any Ryzen build. Speaking of Ryzen, we all know that it runs the best on fast memory, so it's recommended to get the fastest frequency with the lowest CL timing. The best ones I could find for the price were these, the G.Skill Ripjaws 5. We got 2 8GB sticks running at 3600 MHz and a CL timing of 16, which is pretty fast. If you guys are buying RAM for your Ryzen system, make sure to find the sticks with the highest frequency and the lowest CL timing to get the most performance out of your system. Also, don't forget to enable XMP profile in your BIOS. It's surprising a lot of people build their PCs and they completely forget or don't know how to enable XMP profile in their BIOS. By default, your RAM is running half the speed as advertised, so you have to access BIOS and enable XMP profile. So make sure to pause this video and check and see that XMP profile is enabled in your BIOS. You might thank me later for that extra performance boost. Now for storage, we are going with a 1TB hard drive from WD for mass storage. However, for the operating system and my favorite games, we are using the Kingston A2000 M.2 SSD. Now if you guys are shopping around for an M.2 SSD, it's important to know the 2 main types of M.2 SSDs. There are SATA-based and NVMe based. NVMe SSDs are the fastest, giving you speeds of up to 3500 megabytes per second read and write, whereas SATA M.2 SSDs are capped at 550 megabytes per second read and write. And because of this, NVMEs are slightly more expensive. However, there are SATA-based M.2s that charge just as much, if not more. So don't get tricked into paying more for a slower M.2 drive. There are 2 ways you can tell if your M.2 SSD is NVMe based or SATA based. The first obvious way is the description. It will always state what type of M.2 drive it is right on the device or the title. And the second way is by counting the number of notches. SATA based M.2 drives have 2 notches, while NVMe based drives have only 1. The case I decided to go with is the Deepcool Matrix 50. This is a mid-tower chassis with tempered glass side and front panels. We also got a PSU shroud and multiple USB ports up top. The case does come with a single rear 120mm fan, but I'm adding in my own set of Rosewill fans for better airflow. These cost only $15 and you get 4 120mm fans, which I think is a really great deal. Powering the entire build is a 600 watt bronze certified power supply from EVGA, which I got for a really great deal. And I also like how the cables are all black instead of the ketchup and mustard cables. And it's gonna work really well with the non-RGB theme that I'm going with for the build. And of course, we got the GPU. This is the new Sapphire RX 5600 XT from AMD that just got released. Now this card is a direct competitor to the GTX 1660 Ti. The 5600 XT retails for $289, which is roughly the same cost as a 1660 Ti, but it's said to perform up to 20% faster on average. So we'll have to see if the claims are true. So we're gonna do a little comparison with the GTX 1660 Ti near the end to see just how fast the 5600 XT really is. I won't bore you guys too much to death going over specs, but here's a quick rundown of the GPU. It's running on the Navi 7nm architecture with a boost clock up to 1560 MHz, 6 GB of GDDR6 memory, and a 150 watt TDP. The total price, including the fans, come out to a little over $850, plus your CD key, obviously, which is optional, but you can get one as low as $13 via your cdkey.com. Just make sure to use my code TS20 for an extra 20% off. All right, so with all that said, it's time to put together the PC and see how it performs. So there you have it, guys, some very impressive performance from the 5600 XT, crushing almost every title over 144 FPS in high settings, with the exception of Red Dead 2 and Battlefield 5. When you compare these numbers to the GTX 1660 Ti, we can see a clear winner. The 5600 XT did noticeably well in every single game tested, and in some titles the gap was pretty big, like Modern Warfare, with an average of 33 FPS more on the 5600 XT. Now, if we add the total frames from each GPU and divide it by the number of games tested, we will get an average FPS per game. The 5600 XT coming in with an average of 156 FPS per game, and the 1660 Ti with an average of 137, making the 5600 XT 12.5% faster than the 1660 Ti on average. Not quite 20% like they claimed, but still pretty damn close. Now, do keep in mind that these GPU benchmarks are in combination with the R5 3600, so these results will vary with other benchmarks using a higher end CPU. So if you look at current pricing, the 5600 XT gives you the most bang for your buck with $1.86 per frame compared to over $2 from the 1660 Ti. So results speak for themselves. The mid-range king is currently AMD with their 5600 XT, at least until Nvidia lowers prices or decides to fight back. But as of today, if your GPU budget is around $300, then the obvious choice would be the 5600 XT, hands down. But overall, I'm very happy with the build, and after seeing the numbers, I can definitely recommend this system for anyone wanting to game over 144 FPS in 1080p. It's crazy how much performance you can get out of a PC these days without having to sell a kidney. For around $850, you get a good-looking, Gothic-themed, non-RGB PC to clap cheeks online. But if you guys are going to be building this, I do recommend getting a 144Hz monitor to take advantage of the high frames. But that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like. It will help me sleep better at night. All the parts used in the build will be linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love your beautiful eyelashes, and I'll see you in the next video.